What's up, guys? Today we're going to be working on the 350 swap for the Z. If you follow my Instagram, you saw that 2 weeks ago I went and picked up a small block 350 out of a dirt track car. It has a ridiculous list of bolt-ons and replacement parts. And 4 or 5 days ago I went and picked up an NV 3500 5-speed overdrive truck transmission. And it is out of a 2004. Now, there are people that are probably weary, like, how are you going to bolt a 70s motor to a 2000 plus transmission? Well, the cool thing is the small block never really changed its bolt pattern. However, any motor prior to 1986 has a 2-piece rotating crank assembly, and the issue with that is that meant you have a wider center bore bolt pattern. But they make a flywheel to counter this because the 86 and newer have a 1-piece rotating assembly, and that made your center bore and bolt pattern a lot smaller. So obviously the transmission is set up for the later, and the motor has the wider pattern. So what we're going to do is go get a flywheel that is made for an 11-inch clutch and pressure plate, which is perfect for an NV 3500, and slap it on that motor. And after we do that, which I've already done, I did this prior to making the video. Obviously I wanted to make sure everything worked. We're going to go ahead and put the 3500 transmission on the engine, and I might see about fitting it up. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the difference between a Gen 1 and a Gen 2 small block. This is a Gen 1, which is pre-1986, and you'll see that it has a very large center bore compared to the Gen 2. This also makes the 6-bolt pattern actually space out a little bit more. So without changing rotating assemblies, you can't put a Gen 2 flywheel on a Gen 1, vice versa. Now, we do have a way to solve this, to get around this, to put a Gen 1 motor with a Gen 2 transmission, and that is, of course, a flywheel swap. A flywheel swap that still allows you to use your 11-inch clutch and pressure plate, which is for the NV 3500. Here it is. So now you see we have a 30-pound steel flywheel. This is a 168 tooth, which is what I need for my starter. And it is also made for the 2-piece rotating assembly in my 350. Just to give you guys an idea of what I'm talking about, this is the external rotating balance piece slash bullshit of the 2-piece crank. If you have a pre-1986 350, they essentially got rid of this, and you just have a simple 6-bolt smaller pattern with a smaller lip, of course, and you know, you have a bearing in here and whatnot. So this is essentially a Gen 1 to Gen 2 flywheel. Now here, for example, is an 11-inch pressure plate. And as you can see, all of the bolt holes line up, so we're pretty much good to go. Now, to throw this on the engine, be smart about shit. You're going to want to Loctite it. I'm going with blue because blue is hand removable with tools, and it's still going to do the job. Keep in mind, if you use red, or I think it's black, you're going to end up like having to torch the shit off your car. Not a smart idea. Blue is plenty for the application at hand. For those of you that didn't know, flywheels actually come with the same coating that brake rotors and other various metal pieces come with. It's an anti-rust coating, and all you need is some brake clean to go ahead and take that off. And if you don't take it off, it can do really nasty things like glaze your brake pads and or clutches. So you just simply take some of this here brake clean. You probably want to do this in an open area environment. Brake clean is not exactly healthy to breathe in. Alright, so when you're bolting your flywheel on, you want to make sure you use a torque wrench and go to factory specs. There's probably a pattern for it. Most commonly, it's just a very simple star pattern. I actually go through the pattern twice. You don't want to be back here in 50 miles. You know, might as well be safe than sorry. It only takes 30 seconds. Make sure to wipe off any excess thread locker you have that may be dripping out of these bolts and going down onto your clutch surface. You're going to want to spray this surface and scrub it with a little brake clean to make sure you get that anti-rust coating off. And after you do that, set your clutch on here, slide in your clutch centering tool, and bolt on your pressure plate. And as far as this goes, it's pretty much ready to have that NV 3500 transmission bolted right up to the block. hydraulic throwout bearing. That's the only downfall of the MV3500. I heard that these are absolute pieces of shit and they break all the time. We're gonna find out what they do.